Okay, so with 42 minutes and 7 seconds left, I'm starting my review of Zack Snyder's Justice League because I'm bored, but also there's one thing that's driving me crazy through this whole movie, and it happened again, and I'm desperate to complain about it, so I'm saying it now, and this whole thing is going to be spoilers, so don't even. Anyway, this music, I mean, I don't like any of the music in this. I mean, the theme music, like the score, is okay, but this if you remember the movie Troy, they had music like this that everybody made fun of. Troy was originally supposed to have one person doing the soundtrack. They fired him, and then they got this kind of like wailing woman music singing God knows what. But here it's reminding me of The Last Kingdom, which is one of my favorite Netflix shows, and I love that show. But in there, it's not bad, and the lady's like, "Hey, hey, ho!" Right? And in here, it's just making me laugh. Because it's like, oh God, who thinks this is a good idea? But like I said, I hated it in Troy. I hate it here. For some reason, that just opening theme on The Last Kingdom is good. So you gotta really get it just right. And this is driving me nuts. So I had a lot more to say. But I'm probably gonna pop back in. Because I'm having the worst time getting through this movie. It's just so long. I mean, if you didn't have, all the unnecessary slow motion and bullet time or whatever you want to call it, it'd probably be an hour and a half long. So much to complain about, but let me go back now because I had to get it off my chest. I couldn't deal with it anymore. Oh. Okay, so I just finished it. I mean, I was talking about the music before. This version of Hallelujah was just so loud. The music, especially the songs. Well, I'm getting this out of the way now because I already started talking about the music. They were so, I want to say overpowering, overbearing. They just too much. And like I said, this is the version of Hallelujah. Oh my God, she's just screaming. It doesn't sound nice. That doesn't sound. It's just screaming, and I obviously I'm watching with my headphones on. I mean, you have explosions and everything else, and this you got to take your. It is awful. I don't know why that's what he wanted to go with for the Why am I doing this? I had my notes over here before. That'd be easier for me to see them. Actually, I took the paper out. Look. These are my notes. Very neat, right? Okay, so yeah, the music was terrible. But overall, I don't really know what that was. Because at the end now, again, spoilers the whole way. I didn't think the end was the end. I mean, you got to the point where they chopped off Steppenwolf's head, and I thought they were supposed to fight this dark side person. So I was like, whatever. Thinking that I looked at the thing, it said there was 33 minutes left. I'm like, yeah, they're gonna fight that other guy. And no, that was the end. Because next thing you know, it says epilogue. I'm like, what? Wait, you serious? So I didn't even realize the end was the end. And then that whole epilogue was a big Bobby Ewing moment. And I didn't understand early in the film when that guy was the Martian Manhunter. Now, the Martian Manhunter, what is this in his name, like John Johns or something? I'm just asking because when he introduced himself to Ben Batfleck, when he introduced himself to him, I was like, wouldn't he say his name? And that was the weird thing too. I guess I'm stupid because don't agree too fast, but Even in the movie when everybody's calling Superman Superman, I'm thinking you could call people by their first name. So I'm like, why aren't they calling him Clark? Um, do they know he's Clark? I don't know. Anyway, I don't remember watching other movies where they're always like Superman, Superman, Superman. But that's not really a gripe. I'm going to ramble. I'm going to be all over the place. Like I say, I have my little notes here. But I should, I guess, go back and start at the beginning. That was just that ending. I was like, that was okay, whatever. And then, yeah. So the music was overdone. There were a lot of things in this movie that were overdone. Okay? My first thing... Oh, yeah, that's what it was. The music. I gotta go back to the music. Because, no, I brought up Troy already, right? Yeah, I did. Because I remember people called... I remember reading something. The Woman of Wailing something. It was just funny. Anyway, the music was bad. And it was just... Music, to me, when I watch a movie and I like the score, it's generally because I don't notice it. You know what I mean? It's in there and you feel the music. You don't hear it. It's not interrupting what you're paying attention to. So first thing about the movie, I, as a movie fan, my thing was to go to the movie theater. And this whole pandemic has just made me question, what's the point? What's the point in going forward if you can't go to the movie theater? You know, because my life wasn't that great. It never was that great. But the last couple years before the pandemic, things were getting worse and stuff like that. The only consistent throughout my life, that the way I wanted it, was to go to the theater. You know, and especially with the AMC Stubs thing, I went so much. And then to have to not go at all because of things that happened in my life before this, but then to just have it be there's no such thing was terrible. So just on a general rule, I like to see a movie first time in a movie theater. Here's the case of a movie, and like I tweeted how it reminded me of The Irishman, because I was having such a hard time paying attention. There are some kinds of movies where they really benefit from you being trapped in a dark room. For the first, like I said, I watched some, I fell asleep. I thought I watched the first quarter of it. I didn't. This was split into 6 parts, so I don't know how much I saw right when this came on when I fell asleep. But so I watched a very small amount of it, and then but once I started watching it again, for like that first hour and a half, I must have paused it every 5 minutes to go do something else or look up something online, do something else, because it was so slow. There was no dialogue, and I'm like looking at it thinking, this looks like perfume commercials, you know, Estee Lauder, just, or, you know, Sauvage, you know what I mean? But I'm like, no, because if it was Sauvage, you'd have Johnny Depp instead of the thing that, you know, try to end him forever. That's why, you know, there's movies you don't want to watch because of one person like that. But anyway, so yeah, it just looked like a bunch of perfume ads strung together, and it was just this stupid music and everything else. I'm looking at my notes again. I'm getting old, so there's no good place to do, like, it's awful getting old. I don't even know what this question is. Yeah, it looked like a TV in the very beginning. It looked like a TV show instead of a movie. Like I said, we're getting to that. And there was so much CGI that, like I said, you don't pay attention. I am one of the people, I wasn't as bad as people like Roger Ebert and stuff that wanted nothing to do with digital, but there's something to it where when you're just looking at created images, something in your brain knows you're not looking at anything real, and to me that doesn't help you stay engaged. Like I said, with going all the way back to the Phantom Menace, you know, that Gungan battle at the end, where it was all Gungans and droids, I couldn't care less because I wasn't looking at anything real. So when you're looking at stuff and you're like, wow, they did everything, this whole thing is green screen, isn't it? That's bad. I'm not saying it looks bad. I'm not saying the animators did bad. But, you know, there's something to it where you don't feel the weight of it. I've complained already. I was surprised to understand that it's Weta Digital. I don't know why I didn't know that before. But because obviously Weta did all the amazing stuff for the Lord of the Rings movies. But I have that rubber chicken complaint. Now, what I'm saying is, like, when Superman bends down to fly, or Wonder Woman bends down, and it's not them, because humans can't do that, and they decide to make a computer generated version of these characters. Even in this case, even Aquaman looked like that at one point when he went to go and swim. It's like they try to animate humans crouching down or bending or pushing off or something, and they end up looking like rubber. Like they don't have bones in their legs, you know, like they're just bouncy. Like, you know, that's why I said, that's what I mean when I say rubber chicken. And I don't know why the DC movies have that. There was one instance in Black Panther when he's fighting Killmonger and they're up in the air fighting, and it looked almost like, you know, action figures fighting, like a kid holding them, because it looked fake. So when something looks fake, again, it registers in your mind and you're like, oh yeah, I'm watching a movie, instead of being immersed in it. So not seeing things in the theater, really hard when you need to be immersed to pay attention. So if a movie isn't good enough in dialogue and all that other stuff to keep you engaged, even if you watch it on a phone or you watch it on a black and white TV, you know what I mean? If it depends on you being immersed and you need the quiet and you need to not have a kitchen over there or something else to do, I gotta remember, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. If anything can distract you from the movie easily, that's not good now, because you don't have that theater experience of being stuck there. You know, what else? So the Steppenwolf guy, I mean, I watched the other version, I watched this version, I don't understand why he's supposed to be scary, what his deal is. I don't understand why he's a villain. Like I said, I thought this whole thing was setting up for them to fight Darkseid, so I was just barely paying attention to him. But I know what he looked like in the other one, and everybody made fun of that. In this one, I said he looked more like a fork. I mean, I was like, they should change his name to Herringbone, because the way all that silver outfit was, I mean, it looked good in a way, but I don't know, his little squishy face, I was like, I kind of like the other version of Steppenwolf better. I don't know. And I know it was CGI, and people complained about that, but it was more human in a way. So I don't know. The Smelty guy, I'm calling him Smelting Guy because I don't know what his name is, and I don't know who he was, but I liked him. I don't know if that was supposed to be Darkseid, because at one point it looked like he morphed into... If you didn't read the comic books, and you don't know all the comic books, maybe, you know, they know all this stuff, and they're like... Because a lot of times you see stuff like that. If you go to a movie and people read all the comic books, and the person tries to make the movie for the comic book fans, then people who aren't comic book fans are like, who's that? What's he doing? What are they about? Where's that? You know, so, yeah. But the Smelty guy, meaning the guy who had all the dripping, like, I don't want to say lava, the dripping fire stuff. So I liked him, but I don't know. Something very weird. You have a good looking cast, you know. But some of the angles and some of the ways, like, I'm looking at Henry Cavill at one point, I'm like, why does his nose look big? Why does his nose look big in these Superman movies? It doesn't have a big nose. He has a very nice nose. That there were angles on Gal Gadot, and I'm like, she just doesn't look good here either. And I don't get that. You know, I think that just watching all these movies, it's hard to ding Zack Snyder on the look of the film if you don't mind like the color scheme. In this case, I did not like. It's so dark. It's so, I mean, not like I can't see dark like, you know, the Long Night in Game of Thrones, but dark like the palette is slate gray, charcoal gray, black, chrome. Not even chrome. The chrome's too bright. You know, it's just. So you're looking at these people, and I know that Superman was supposed to be in a black suit, and everybody got so excited about Superman being in a black suit. I thought the black suit did something. Like, I thought it made a difference somehow in Superman. It's just a different outfit, I guess, because it didn't seem like it gave him powers or it meant anything. Did it mean something? I don't know. But anyway, the point is, like, I'm looking at the Flash, I'm looking at, you know, Wonder Woman, and you're looking at, you know, there's red on their outfits, but it barely looks red. You know, it looks like burgundy or oxblood or something. It was, everything was dark, and I'm like, you would never want to live in this movie because the sun won't come out tomorrow. There's no sun. It's like, it's dark all the time. There was a scene, like, just depressing dark. Like, if you lived, like, you had a house at the base of Mount Doom or something, like, there was a scene where, I wrote it down. I know, I'm going to depend on my notes now. But there was a scene, and I was just like, it's so, I mean, it was just, everything about it was dark. They were all together at that point, so that's what I'm trying to see. Yeah, I'm never going to be able to read this. Anyway, it just, there's too much of it. Was just different shades of dark gray. Shades of dark gray. Okay. Anyways, so it was too dark. Like I said, if you lived there, you'd be depressed all the time. The point of these movies seems to be to depress. And I don't know if I said it yet, but I haven't watched Justice League, the Joss Whedon version, the theatrical version, in a long time. Not probably a couple years. Yeah. But or a year and a half or something. I saw it in the theater, and I saw it in 3D, and I was entertained by it, and I was surprised to be entertained by it, and I liked it. And yes, I liked it better than this for that reason. For the fact that it didn't have this horrible wailing woman music. It didn't have this horrible, you know, just, let's all be smoky, let's all be murky, let's all be depressed, let's all have it like the heaviest clouds and overcast. Let's have everything be just dark chrome gray. Let's just, you know, sulk. I mean, what else are you going to do in that kind of weather? It was just morose. So yes, like I said, I don't even remember a lot of the Joss Whedon version, but I know I liked it when I left. I liked it enough, saying, hey, that was entertaining, good. This, I was not entertained. It was depressing looking. I don't see the point in that. I don't see the point. I mean, steampunk is a word I thought of, you know, and this is what I'm saying. In Man of Steel, right off the bat, everything was dark and gross, and it looked like Geonosis or some other, what was that movie? It just looked like, you know, a real, like, it's meant to make you feel bad. It's meant to make you just, you know how kids, when they're emo, and they only wear black in high school, and they, you know, stuff like that. It just, it's like when, you know, when we grew up and we watched those Superman movies, the bright blue and everything like that, and Krypton was, you know, this like crystal place and beautiful. And whenever you think of some enlightened society planet or whatever, you think of crystal palaces and, you know, beautiful, not dirty and grimy and factory looking. Not dirty, but just factory looking, steampunk, just dark. I don't know why. Billy Crudup, in the beginning, he had a scene and I was like, Billy Crudup's a good actor. And it looked like it was killing him to force the words out. I mean, the dialogue was bad. The dialogue was, it seemed like this movie was trying to be so profound and in the end inspiring. And it was none of those things. It was just like, you know, like one dark rainy day that won't stop. You know, if it was like, say you made a movie and that was part of the plot, that it rained for a year, or that, you know, it was the part in, you know, between Terminator and the Matrix where the machines, or not the machines, the humans blotted out the sun so the machines couldn't run on solar power. I mean, if it was a plot point that there was no sun, at least you'd have an excuse for why everything looks so sad all the time. Bad acting. Okay. Joe Morton. I've seen him in a bunch of things before. I never thought he was a bad actor, but a couple of scenes were just terrible. And where, like in the beginning in the hospital, I was like, wow, can we get another take? Which, I don't know what the deal was with any of the acting in any of these movies. Like I said, to me, Zack Snyder, and this is even when I liked Watchmen, it very much seems like, you know, comic book storyboards movie. So as long as it looks like how he's envisioned, I don't know if it matters how good the story is or how good the acting is or any of that crap. So if Joe Morton was needed another take, maybe just didn't get one. Again, with the other thing about the look of it is how much it looks like a video game sometimes, and it's fine for people who've been playing video games all along. You know, it's not just kids, so I don't want to say that because there's plenty of people my age who are like that. And if you're used to video game graphics and stuff like that, you know, and these kind of, you know, dark things where you're fighting in wars or whatever, again, maybe it looks great to you. To me, for, you know, as far as films go, a lot of the, especially the beginning, like there was a huge difference the first half to the second half. A lot of the first half could have gone. And like I said, with slow motion and all the bullet time and stuff like that, you could have had an hour and a half movie out of this, and it would have been much better, just because you wouldn't have to force yourself through it the way, like I said, I had to force myself through it. The only other movie I had a problem like that with was The Irishman. But like I said, this is the new way of watching movies at home, which becomes TV in my opinion. But if you don't, like I said, if you're not isolated in the theater and locked in, it can't be something where you're easily distracted. There was a part where Gall was narrating stuff, and I was just like, oh my god, this is awful. Oh my god. Speaking of design, I guess it was like this before and I didn't notice. How am I going to say this? The Kryptonian ship The interior design was very vagina-esque. Okay, I didn't notice that before, and it had to be like that before. Um, I think I got my whole first side in my notes. I'm so proud of myself. Oh, Amy Adams. Yeah. Poor Amy Adams. The fact is, and she had one eye that was way bigger than the other. I never noticed that before. But, or it was just allergy day or something. But one eye looked way bigger than the other. And the thing about this is, like, you know, she's got the scene with Diane Lane. Like I said, I don't care how dusty they try to make Diane Lane look. She still doesn't look older than Amy Adams. I liked Diane Lane a long time. I said before about being a talkbacker in the old days on Ain't It Cool News, and my screen name was Cherry Valance. So I like Diane Lane going all the way back to The Outsiders. And I just never bought her as an old lady. I don't know how much older she is than Henry Cavill. She's probably not that much. I don't know. I guess if she was a teen mom or preteen mom, she could be his mom. I don't know. There was this another scene where very, like, one of the first. It wasn't when Superman came back. I guess it was a flashback. I don't even remember. But where you see Henry Cavill, and I'm like, is that his face? Because it kind of looked, again, computer generated, or like they gave him computer generated Botox or something. Didn't look right. So when he does come back, one thing made me laugh, and this probably happened in the other version. I don't even remember when Jimmy Olsen from the old movie went to get his gun, like he was getting ready to shoot him. I don't know why that cracked me up so bad. I don't know, so many things. I'm talking about Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck trying to make a serious face sometimes makes me laugh too. Just the Superman stuff, it was like next to nothing. I mean, he has a script he wrote, he has a story he wrote, he wanted it a certain way. To have so little Superman, I mean, how long was it till he showed up? To have so little Superman and the Justice League, I know he was dead. But for these movies, for the Zack Snyder version of Superman throughout these movies, Henry Cavill has done nothing but look pretty, and in reality, out of all his movies and projects, The Tudors, whatever, he's looked the least pretty as Superman, which is so ridiculous. I mean, if you go watch like the press that he did for, let's say, Mission Impossible or something, he looks so much more like Superman just on the red carpet than he ever did in these movies. It just boggles mind. But yeah, so there was so little Superman, and I'm like, I don't know what the motivation was. Like I said, Steppenwolf over here, Herringbone Man, was just such a non-entity in both versions, in a way. But like I said, it was still more entertaining in the other one. So I don't know, but it was like, I thought the villain was going to be Darcy. So it was like, I felt like I was being led for 3 hours to nowhere. 3.5 hours to nowhere. And then it's like epilogue. And then the whole epilogue was like trying to set up a future better movie, maybe? I don't know. I don't get that. Jeremy Irons. I would have, like, there's the 1-2 minute exchange, not 2 minute, 2-second exchange between Jeremy Irons and Henry Cavill. I was like, if it was me, I'd just make the whole movie them two having tea. Because every time Jeremy Irons was just basically, Alfred, just basically looking up shit on the internet, I'm like, I could just watch a movie of Alfred looking up shit on the internet. I hope they paid Jeremy Irons a lot. Because, I mean, outclassed is a word for it. And then, oh my god, there was a point where, I don't know, Superman does something, and then Aquaman is like, alright. And Gal Gadot is like, well, Wonder Woman is like, Kal-El. And I was like, I don't know, there's, when things make you laugh, and they shouldn't, and they all walk funny, and I'm blaming their shoes, or their outfits, or their whatever's, their cod pieces, whatever's making them, they, like when they were, the five of them were walking together, they just all walked funny, like they had ski boots on. There's a point where Superman's playing with the CGI, the CG, computer generated butterfly. That's what I'm saying. That kind of stuff is like, why am I looking at that? Since they made computer generated bugs, and they had to have them in the movies all the time, and they look like computer generated things crawling. There's no jeopardy. There's no like, oh, a bug, whether it's a butterfly and it's beautiful or it's gross, icky bugs. You know they're fake, so who cares? Something I realized that I didn't realize before. You only see the Flash go slow. That's messed up, because the ideas, oh, our eyeballs can't move that fast, so to us, the only way, we have to slow down everything to be able to see him move. So in the entire thing, the Flash is this character that's just always in slow motion. The Flash, though, this is the funny part. I liked Ezra Miller in it. I know, because for some reason I didn't like Ezra Miller in the other version. Don't ask me how that works, but somehow in this movie, Ezra Miller, being like, you know, a nervous kid with, I don't know if he's on the spectrum or what, but it really worked out somehow, and I know other people might not like it, but I just was like, wait a minute, I like him in this. And, you know, in, I guess it was Batman v Superman, like I said, I mix up those two movies, which, out of the Zack Snyder ones, it looks like that's the one I kind of like, because I don't like this, and, I mean, I don't hate this, I hate Man of Steel, I don't hate this, but it's just, I don't need it, I don't need, like I said, I don't need steampunk Superman. But I did like Ezra Miller, but I was saying in Batman v Superman, I oddly liked Jesse Eisenberg, who I've never liked that guy. You know what I mean? I've always found him annoying, but as Lex Luthor, I liked him. So, I mean, that was Batman v Superman, right? Like I said, I mix up the plots from the two movies, and I mix up those two movies because I didn't watch them a billion times over. And I thought, in terms of mixing up, while I'm sitting here this whole time waiting for Darkseid, I'm thinking that the big monster guy from the other movie had been Darkseid, but that was, I keep wanting to say Apocalypse. Wrong. Doomsday. Now this is what I'm saying, that I liked. That whole bit with them fighting, and that part I liked. From whichever the hell movie that was. I don't know. But in this, I mean, it seemed contrived. It seemed like it was trying to be profound. All that ridiculous music. You know, and then the songs that were so heavy-handed and really shoved in there, and I don't want to say too loud, but they were just so overbearing, and it really seemed like it was trying to be something, like really trying to, pretentious, yeah, but not so pretentious, just like it really meant to mean something. It really meant to just every single thing. So even like the words out of people's mouths were trying to just be so important. And, you know, remember the floating hot dogs were driving me crazy, you know. If I ever, Ezra really even saved that when he was in the thing with the doggies. So I'm just like, what happened to that girl, by the way? Anyways, so I just realized, wait a minute, she just disappeared. as a standalone movie, if it's not setting up something else, like I said, that whole epilogue was about something else. There was a lot of effort put in, and it looked. I prefer to not watch a movie that dark and depressing, but I didn't like the look, but the look was well done. Put it that way. The vagina ship. Apart from that, the designs were well drawn. I may have used more crayons to have, you know, like I said, the palette was dark and darker. Darkest and bleak and, you know. So, what am I saying? I'm saying that I remember having a much better feeling of oh, that was fun, or I enjoyed that. You know, that wasn't as bad as I suspected when I came out of the theatrical version of Justice League, having seen it in 3D. And really, I really remember really liking Jason Momoa coming out of there. I can't like Jason Momoa anymore. He's another person who hates people like me. It's so hard to watch a movie when you have people like Amber Heard who you don't want to ever watch a movie again. Because you just, you know, and you have people like Jason Momoa who hate your guts. And then you have the director who thinks that people who watch certain videos on YouTube are all racist. It's hard to sit there and try to watch a movie now because there's so many movies where, you know, you've interacted with people on Twitter or something and they hate people like you because of your political opinions, and it's sad, you know. So you're trying to watch a movie and stuff like that, but even still, like, okay, so I'm sitting there and I'm feeling bad. I'm like, gee, you know, I really liked Jason Momoa. I wish he hadn't said what he said about certain people, certain kinds of people. But I don't remember in the other version, I guess, did his eyes look like that? Because I'm looking at him going, he looks like Khal Drogo after that witch lady got done with him. Was he supposed to look like, you know, creepy with the eyes? But he, you know, the rest of him looked good, as he did when I saw it the first time. That's what I'm saying. I really liked looking at him in 3D in the theater. So, I don't think I would have liked this anyway. It suffers from not having the theater experience because you're not able to really focus. It's just so easy to be distracted from this, especially, like I said, that first half with those Estee Lauder looking ad type scenes that was just posing. And that's the thing that kind of bothers me in a way about Henry Cavill over these movies. The man is incredibly good looking. He does do a lot of modeling and stuff like that. And I feel like instead of getting Superman stories, we got a lot of Superman being posed by the director because he looks the part and he looks good. So in this one, he was like, okay, he's floating. Okay, he's floating again. He's floating some more. He was starting to look like a ghost. Speaking of ghost, that speech of his two dads, that co-speech, I was like, that would have been a hell of a lot better if they were blue ghosties. I mean, at first, this is the worst part. I'm like, okay, so that's Russell Crowe. And then I'm like, and Ben Affleck? And then I'm like, okay, that's Russell Crowe. Is that Ben Affleck? I was like, not understanding. I was like, who's the other guy talking? And I was like, oh, wait a minute, it's his other dad. It's Kevin Costner. I'm like, this doesn't sound like Kevin Costner. But I was like, I guess. But it would have been nice if they were blue ghosties or something that, you know. I'm not trying to laugh. That part really made me laugh because I was like, who is that? Does that Ben Affleck? Why is he doing a voiceover for this? I don't understand. But you know, it this movie took itself so seriously and meant to be so profound. Like I said, it didn't, I wouldn't want to say it didn't go all the way to pretentious, but this movie was smelling its own farts, put it that way. And so little Superman. So little Superman. For a character that didn't get a second movie of his own, for an actor that didn't get a second movie of his own to act in, I just feel like Henry Cavill's been done dirty by this whole thing. There should have been a hell of a lot more Superman. There should have been a lot more acting from everybody, but there should have been a lot more scenes involving acting for actors, because they're actors. They're not just, they look good. They're all good looking people, but they're not just pretty faces. They're not just mannequins to be posed. And that's what I kind of get out of this. I mean, it's like, it could be so much more. It's not my movie. I didn't write it. I understand that this is Zack Snyder's vision. This is what he wanted. I'm sure the people who, were looking forward to this, I'm sure they enjoyed it. It's not poorly made. It's just, like I said, I'm trying to look at it through the lens of this is how he makes superhero movies. And for that, like I said, the second half of it wasn't that bad. I can give the second half of it a C+, B-. The first half, so hard to pay attention, so hard to get into it. I mean, if you have anything else to do, again, watching at home, you can get up and do it. You're going to be like, oh, let me do my taxes, You can't, I mean, I know this was not made for this situation. This was made years ago. And I have a hard time believing that the majority of this was already filmed. I mean, I don't know. So, that's the movie itself. The epilogue now. Joe Manganiello looks really stupid with blonde hair. I know that was there before, but he looks really stupid with blonde hair. I didn't care about the epilogue. I don't care what's coming next. The Jared Leto thing, that whole scene, that whole imaginary scene or whatever, I was like, what the hell are they talking about? Speaking of talking, did Amber Heard have an accent in Aquaman? I don't remember that. Anyway, so it was confusing, meant to be confusing, because you're supposed to figure it out. Okay, it's a dream. Okay, it's an alternate reality. Okay, Batman let Robin die off screen. I don't know. And yeah, Jared Leto. I mean, you get 2 seconds of Jared Leto, and like I said, there's so little for these to do. You start getting just generalized actory charisma and who popped out no matter what. Just like a pop-out book would. Whose personality was in 3D? Jared Leto and Jeremy Irons. Like I'm saying, because they're just, I don't know if you want to say magnetic, but it's not just their personality, it's that they are those kind of actors who you just get drawn in anyway. So, you have these two people who just not really that important to the overall story, and they're engaging. You want to go, and it's like, whatever. So, that's the movie. That's my review. I didn't hate it. But I wouldn't have, it's probably for a specific kind of person. It's probably for people who you know, been eating this stuff up over the years. Like, I never read the comic books, but I was a kid who watched the Saturday morning cartoons. I watched the Justice League on Saturday mornings as a kid. You know what I mean? I liked the Legion of Doom. You know what I mean? But you know, I watched those as a kid. At some point when I was older, I did watch some kind of Justice League stuff on, I guess it was Cartoon Network. This would have been, you know, more than 10 years ago, so I don't know if it was like 20 years ago or whatever, but I used to watch some of that stuff. So, but I never read the comic books and stuff like that. I think this would be for people who read all of it, watched all of it, watched all the TV versions, everything else. So people who are really invested, really DC people, I'm sure they like it. I'm sure they love it. I'm not that. I'm a movie fan who happens to like superhero movies from time, you know, most of the time. And you know, the second half was decent. The first half, I'm gonna go ahead and say it was a waste of time. Um, there was not enough Superman, like I said, across 3 movies, which is so just not right. um, anyway, that's my review of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Wish I could have seen it in a theater. Is that really that? Have I been talking for that long? I'm the most long-winded person in the world, and I know there's glare from my glasses. Some days it's worse, some days it's not. That's why I kept moving forward, because when I move forward, it's not as bad as when I'm back. But it doesn't matter. Nobody's watching this. Nobody cares. But yeah, I did out of 10. See, out of 10 is a problem, because the second half I'd probably give a 6.5. The first part I'd give like a 2. So I don't want to average that out. I don't want to give the whole movie a 5. So I don't want to give it a 6 either. 5.89. 5.89 out of 10. What a long review. I'm so sorry if anybody watched this all the way through. That's terrible. Shame on me. Jesus.